And we're here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night, Generational Change. I'm Jen.
I'm Peter. And boy, oh boy.
We got a new pope.
We have a new pope.
I mean, we don't have a new pope, but there is a new pope.
Thank you so much, Jara, for the 99 super sticker. We're already off to a good start. I don't know much about this pope. I could care.
He's American.
Well, yeah. Well, I totally made this decision. We're going to have an American pope.
And actually, let me rephrase that. He's a U.S. national.
Okay. Is that a good thing?
I couldn't care less. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I don't know enough about him. Not really. I know that he has spent a majority of his time like in the streets like Pope Francis did in terms of working in communities and amongst vulnerable people. And I know that his parish is is that what it is? A parish? Where he comes from as a cardinal,
yeah.
His diocese rather is
the archdiocese.
Right. But he's based out of Peru. And
Okay.
so I'm sure he deals with a lot, so it's similar to the last pope in terms of the demographics where he's been working, but I don't know enough about him. But I do know that this is now the 14th Pope Leo, whereas
14th.
Francis was the one and only Francis.
Well, we'll see what happens. We hope for the best when these religious leaders, if you want to call them that, come into power at a time where religion has been hyper hypocritical, I should say. Perhaps because the church has withstood a significant amount of backlash for a very long time. Maybe they're turning a corner. I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think anybody should. But
I mean, to me, it's all ridiculous. And I've been there and I remember going through the Vatican Museum and going into the Sistine Chapel, which, by the way, they do not let you lay down, which is a travesty. I did try, but in any event,
point of going if you can't. That's how I see it.
Anyway, so I've been through that, and I got to tell you, the opulence, the wealth, the riches, it's so obscene. It's so obscene. And I remember, and I'm not a Catholic, so none of that really
You're not?
To me, doesn't pertain to me. I've spent a lot of time around Catholics. I have a lot of Catholic friends. It's all good. But all I kept picturing when I was in that museum is like very, very poor people in very vulnerable places, like let's say Mexico, that are like giving their last dollars, pesos, to the Catholic Church. And there was such this level of opulence and let them eat cake vibe that it never sat well with me. And then I did somewhat appreciate a little bit the last Pope. And like the fact that he picked Francis as his name was pretty impressive to me right off the bat. But anyway.
Jesus was a radical Palestinian.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Don't mess with the Jesus.
No, we do not mess with the Jesus. And, we talk at great length about the impact that is going to be felt amongst the Zionist population once this is settled, whenever that will be. We certainly hope it's sooner rather than later. The biggest tragedy that we have to deal with here as Floridians are things like this. You see, our money doesn't actually get spent where it should be spent. And it looks like over $1.3 billion every year is going to Israel
from Florida.
From us, which shouldn't come as a surprise that the number is as high as it is.
But why? Wait a minute. But why would I don't understand. We know that tax dollars don't fund spending. So how does that work? You're saying that Florida gives their tax money. That's our tax money.
And then it's reallocated through what I guess is the defense budget. And that specifically is going towards Israel, which, remember, guys, it's just a drop in the bucket at this point, because what we're dealing with here is $1 trillion military budget. I mean,
I'm going to have Steve explain this to me, but I find it just infuriating.
Well, it's all infuriating, but you can't throw up enough red flags right now to suggest that we are in the throes of collapsing empire. I mean, how else could you look at it that way? And so when Trump throws his arms up in the air about back channels to Netanyahu about attacking Iran, it's like, look, Don, either you're the boss or you're not. What we're seeing is that he's not the boss. And another thing that I also want to point out here, which I think is important, because I obviously manage the social media for us. We do have help from our good friend and trusted confidant, Rachel, who is helping out behind the scenes as well. But when it comes to social media messaging and posts and commentary and so forth, I'm usually in there checking the comments and so forth. And I avoid
it at all costs.
Oh, well, it doesn't bother me. But what I did find interesting was that when it came to the social media, when it came to the clip that we put up regarding Bernie, and you called him out for basically just trying to sheepdog at this point, because what else? Yeah. I mean, at this point, think about it. It's a sheepdogging process that Bernie is actively participating in when it comes to something as simple as Medicare for all, because he didn't do a thing about it for the 4 years that Biden was in.
Right. This is just a distraction. I see somebody in there saying the folks at APAC Tracker need to learn MMT. We are very aware. That's why I'm questioning how this is. I don't understand this. I don't understand how Florida is paying federal tax. Like, this does not make sense to me as somebody who knows that tax dollars don't fund spending. Why would Florida be paying federal tax? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So I need somebody to explain that to me who understands this, because I don't know what that means.
I also think it's important for people to remember that when we are criticizing people like Bernie and AOC, it's because people like them know better, and they have the ability to lead people that actually are trying to fight on the right side of history for issues that really matter. And they are choosing to not go in the direction that needs to be gone in. When you have Senator Van Hollen saying that it is a genocide and Bernie won't say it, I don't need to hear that some standard bearer Democrat is getting to the left of Bernie Sanders. There is no excuse here. And so when everyone up has their hands up in arms and they're saying, well, Bernie's the best of us, that's not how this works. These people are not heroes. We single out Thomas Massey because he's the most principled person in politics.
He's very consistent.
I don't agree with everything he says.
So Blackberry White, explain it to me then what has to do with Florida, because that's what I'm not understanding, because we do pay tax dollars to stuff for Florida because we're Floridians, so state tax dollars. So if you can maybe explain to me what the connection is. Because
Did you kill him, Jen? Did you kill him?
Did I kill him? No, it was just my water bottle. My Drinkosaurus fell over.
Your Drinkosaurus?
It's big.
Jen, show him. Yeah, there you go. So that way you never, mine's much more customary.
46 ounces, baby. 46
I think you
ounces.
can make it an hour and a half to 2 hours with that thing and not have to worry about going empty or having
Well,
to buy
and
somebody to
and
come
well,
into
and
the
it works so much better now that you don't live here, because
Oh,
you would always be wanting to drink my water,
always at the
even
end.
though I've given you water bottles.
I still have that water bottle.
But yet you would not use it. You would still want to drink from mine.
I just like being annoying.
Oh my God.
That's
You're
my
this guy. You're like, I'm not touching you.
Touching you.
That's you.
I do think that.
All right. Can we move this? Can we remove it?
And I've pointed this out to a lot of people, and I will continue to point this out. What San Marcos, Texas has done by showing beyond a shadow of a doubt that their local taxes are being allocated to the state of Israel.
Yes.
We all need to be finding out at our local level what our communities are doing to allocate money to said communities.
That's true.
Yeah. Do I think that's happening in Niceville, Florida? Maybe. Is it happening in Plantation, Florida? You bet your ass it is.
Well, and it's happening at the state level. I have no doubt that it's happening at the state level. Like if somebody were to tell me Florida sent this much money to help Israel, then I'd be, oh, that makes sense to me. I just don't understand what that has to do with the federal tax dollars. Like that is where I'm not understanding it.
Yeah. I'm not sure that this is also one of the confusing aspects of, the whole messaging of left populism and what we've been trying to accomplish in terms of just economic awareness about what needs to be done, what isn't. That's why, like I said, I think that the messaging the other day regarding San Marcos, Texas was so significant, because once you know that you can look into your local and state taxation and figure out exactly where the money is going. For example, if it's going to Israel, then you have a right to know that that's what's happening. That's
for sure
a huge part of it. Blakeley was here for a second. I don't know if she had an issue or not, but hopefully she'll be back.
Yeah, she'll be back.
And so, yeah, that to me, I think is just that.
There they are. There they are.
Huge part.
There they are. Okay. I see them. I see them. It is happening. We're happening.
I think it's very important that we talk at great length when there is an opportunity for collaboration in social media. It doesn't happen too often. There's a lot of egos, and everyone has varying degrees of opinion about who should be leading,
everyone has their pet project. That's the other thing. Everyone has their little pet projects, their issues that are their issues.
Well, if there is somebody who has been exceptionally consistent and exceptionally effective, particularly on Instagram and on TikTok, when it comes to the Free Palestine movement, it is Blakeley. This person has taken it upon himself to be not just an arbiter of truth, but a forceful arbiter of truth in a way that will probably make a lot of Zionists uncomfortable, but makes people like us extremely proud that there are people out there that are doing everything in their capacity, as we try to do, to ensure that this message does not move from the central focus of our political discourse until the Palestinian people are free, now and forever. Blakeley, welcome to Generational Change.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so nice to meet you. I've loved your stuff. You have a very great combination of deadpan and rage. It's really, I appreciate it a lot. And I just want to know, and I'm not on social media, so I'm a voyeur on Instagram. So I do see stuff, but Peter handles our social media because I don't want to read people's comments. So where did you come from? Like, what's your background in that you now are a content creator? Like where did you come from?
So I kind of came, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm excited. So I kind of appeared. So basically I've been writing music for years. I've been, writing songs, like writing, all that, playing music. But as I'm sure most musicians can probably tell you, you don't earn a lot of money being a musician in New York City. Which is okay. It's okay. Like, what is important to me is like being able to like have control over your art. But as a result of like, I'm not saying it's great. Oh yeah, it's great being broke. Like, no, like, but like what I mean is
should be compensating artists, but then I'm an artist wannabe. So I feel you.
Exactly. Like we should definitely be compensating artists. But yeah, so yeah, so like I would be like on Spotify, right? And it would be months and months, and I'd be getting all these streams, and it would be like, congratulations, Blakeley, you got 80 cents over the last like month. I'm like, woohoo. Yeah. So anyway, I was like, what else could I do to earn money? Because I kept getting fired from like my temp jobs and stuff. So I was like, what could I do to earn money? Well, I could start doing content creation on TikTok because I love fashion and I love skincare and I really love politics. But people who were telling me to not, sorry, I know my
Oh,
dogs.
no.
No,
We
no,
are
no.
such dog
Let-
people. Like
Please,
as soon as we saw,
introduction.
is that
Okay.
yeah. As soon
Okay,
as
yeah.
we saw the woofus, we were very distracted. I'm just saying.
Yes. Okay, cool. Some people are like, "Oh, your dogs are always in the background." I'm like, I can't. They
No.
run the show.
No,
They.
we want to have a dog rescue. Like
Yes.
we're dog people.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So I have two dachshunds, and as you might know, dachshunds, they do their own thing. They're in charge. You don't tell a dachshund what to do.
They're too smart. Peter has one. Peter's dad has one.
What's
Yeah.
his name?
This is Melvin. He's
Melvin.
my long hair. This is my
Perfect.
long-haired dachshund, and this is my short-haired dachshund, Eggy, and they're
Oh.
brothers.
That's
So-
really that's cool. So that's just one gene, like blue eyes or whatever. Like it has nothing to, it's not necessarily breed specific. How do you get a long hair and a short hair?
Blakeley,
Oh.
you can't kiss one and not the other. You can't kiss
Oh,
one
that's
and the
it.
other. It's
Yeah,
not
no,
allowed.
That's true. Yeah,
Dachshunds are too smart and they're way too attitude. I very
Yes.
much like my dogs being not so bright. Like my dogs are kind of they're kind of dumb. And
Yes.
I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I've been around smart dogs. They're too needy. They're emotionally needy. You got to stimulate the brain. You got to do stuff or they get destructive. But yeah, I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, my dogs are very smart. I mean, they're grifters. Like they literally will pretend. I'm serious. They pretend they have to go to the bathroom because we always give them treats when they go to the bathroom, so that I'll let them out. So they can stay going to the bathroom, so that I'll give them a treat. It's amazing. They've got this grift like set up. Yeah. So yeah, huge dog person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I was saying was about how I got into content creation was I started doing content creation because I was like, okay, like I love makeup and I love fashion and I love politics, but people were advising me not to talk about politics because of how polarizing it was. They're like, you're not going to, like, I remember somebody saying to me, like, Blakeley, you already are starting to do this because you don't make any money as an artist. If you talk about politics, you are not going to make any money. Like
that's like the trifecta of unemployed, starving people. Musician, artist, activist. That's
yeah. So they were like, you should talk about something that you can do on TikTok that'll make money, which is mostly skincare and fashion. Okay. Like it's a lot of that. It's trying to get people to sell through TikTok shop and shit like that. So I was like, I'm not opposed to doing that because I love fashion and I love like skincare and shit. So I was like, okay, so I started doing it. And also the other reason why I had been hesitant to do a politics channel was because I had a lot of like low self-esteem imposter syndrome where I felt like because I wasn't a professional, I had no right to be talking about politics and trying to like make it a job. Sorry, he's eating my hair.
I'm editing it, Peter. I'm editing it.
So yes. So because of the fact that I didn't have any experience, I didn't have an education, I didn't go to college, I didn't feel like I deserved to be able to like have because some people before would hear me talk about politics and I like would be at Bernie rallies and stuff and they were like, why don't you do something like that? I'm like, no, because I didn't have honestly, I just didn't have enough confidence. I didn't think I was qualified to do it. So
because the people that we hire and pay to do it are so qualified. Yes. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah. So then I started to do the makeup and the skincare content, and I was making some money. It wasn't huge or anything. I didn't have very many followers, but I was making money, which was nice. Like I was actually getting paid to like do sponsored posts and like, things like that. I was like, oh, this is great. This is cool. But then it was two things happened. Number one, I started to get bored. I love fashion and I love makeup, but the content around it was already boring me. And I was like less than a year in. Like I was already getting bored with do my makeup with me, like do this look. I was like, all right, I'm already bored.
Isn't that amazing how people can do that for years?
No, I know. It's amazing. And I still love it, but it just was something that I was like, man, people tell you that if you're going to do content creation as a full-time job, because it's a lot of work, you have to be in it for whatever you're doing it for. because it can get exhausting if you're like me. I put out 4 videos a day. I don't do break.
Wow.
I put out content all day, every day, and I live stream twice a week. So I'm like, and that's in between going to rallies and protests and like all this stuff. So like, I was like, okay, I need to find something that I like more than just doing makeup content and skincare content, because this is already getting boring. And then I started to get into it. People were like, don't do politics. But then the GOP primary happened with like Vivek Ramaswamy and all that shit. And I just got sucked right back in. I was like, I can't not talk about it because they're so annoying. So then I started like doing all these videos. And of course, like people were like, no, go back to doing like whatever content. I was like, no, I'm going to start doing this because I need to do something that I'm actually like, that I actually like, which is like politics and news. And so I started making politics and news content more and more, starting probably in the summer of 2023. And then October 7th happened.
Okay.
Everything changed.
And on that note, this is how I think both of us became acquainted with you. And for those of you who are not familiar with Blakeley, this will probably ring a bell.
Zionist. Of course, we'll sponsor a birthright trip for you as long as you have one Jewish parent, or none, or you convert, or you're Christian, or whatever. We are Zionists. Of course, all innocent life taken is a tragedy. What about Palestinian children? I said innocent. Is that still on? We are Zionists. No one throws wah fest like we do. Number 1 cry bullies. We're number 1. We are Zionists. The only reason why South Africa's trying to come for us is because they're jelly. We're the home of apartheid now, ho. We are Zionists. Of course, we support the idea of ethnically cleansing an entire people and calling it voluntary resettlement. Listen, those settlements aren't going to build themselves. We're Zionists. Of course, we're from New York, but we're going to say Hamas because it sounds scary and brown. We're Zionists. Of course, we're going to try to get all your speech banned, and if you point it out, we're going to call you racist. We're Zionists. I love to remind people how dangerous it is to go over to Gaza and how unsafe you are, especially if you're queer. And I mean it. It is really unsafe. Like, really unsafe. Like, seriously, the IDF will wipe you out. We're Zionists. Our right-wing evangelical lobby is working around the clock to get boycotting banned. What lobby, bigot? We are Christian Zionists. Of course, we support all of you returning to the Holy Land so Armageddon can come and you'll all blow up and go to hell. We're Zionists. We're experts in Hamas lighting, and if you question anything our government is doing, you will be met with, but Hamas!
Notice how they don't talk about that so much anymore. Only the few people still clinging on to that for dear life.
Yes. You know what's kind of insane about that video? First of all, that was probably my 3rd viral video that I got. Before it got banned it got taken off of TikTok after it had gone viral within like 2 days. Yeah. And then
because of the Chinese, right? Because the Chinese in TikTok, yes, that's the problem.
Yeah, but what I find kind of amazing about that video, I made that video in January of 2024, and everything I said was true, was things that they actually do or things that they're doing now. And what's amazing is, I was not prepared for what virality was going to bring out. It really introduced me to the Zionists on a personal level that I was not prepared for.
Well, did you grow up around them? Did you grow up around and okay. So the whole it was new to you, the psychosis?
All of it, everything was new. Before October 7th happened, I didn't know shit about Israel Palestine. Nothing. And except for this was the extent of my knowledge. Somebody who was raised kind of Christian evangelical was my dad one time I remember telling me when I was like 16 and I said, why are they always at war in the Middle East? And he went, it's biblical. That was all he said. That was like pretty much the end of it.
That's like the religious version of it's complicated.
Yes, it is. It's biblical. And then when I grew up and I started to like hear people talk about it, I always felt insecure because everybody would make you feel like there was no way you could understand it. People being like, it's very, very complicated. Like you have no idea if you're ignorant. I was neither Jewish nor Palestinian. So people would say to me, you know, like if you would bring it up or other people I would see bring it up, you have no right to be talking about this. But this was the extent of what I knew. Israel was good and a good place because they protected Jews after the Holocaust and today from scary Arab and Muslim terrorists who want them all dead because they're Jews.
Right. And that's so you grew up with that standard talking point.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I believed it. I believed it. And it's
Oh, I wanted to make Aliyah and move there, so I was with it. I was raised Zionist.
yeah, that I mean, I'm actually honestly impressed every time I see somebody that actually was raised as a Zionist and comes out of it, because the cult is no joke. Like
Yeah,
it's like
no, it's
so
scary.
intense. It's actually terrifying to like see. Mine was not that. Mine was like so passive. You know what I mean? Like mine was very much passive indoctrination. The same way that like I was never actually explicitly like told you have to support Israel. It was everything in my life that just kind of sat on background. The way the news talked about
Right.
it, the way
Right.
it was reported, the way the church talked
They
about it.
didn't have to tell you.
Right. The way pastors would say that this, you have to support Israel because, Armageddon. Like, so, the end times. So it was like always there. And then like I never saw it. I never met an anti-Zionist, never knew anybody who was anti-Zionist. I never met any Palestinians. I didn't really know any Arabs. I was a kid when 9/11 happened. So all of it was, I was like very Islamophobic without even realizing I was.
Right.
Like, again, no one ever came to me and said like, be Islamophobic. It was more like everything on background, like 9/11, 9/11.
So you're a 9/11, you're a 9/11 kid. Like you're
Yeah.
one of the products of that. Like it's almost, that's one of those moments like the JFK assassination where everybody remembers and it's like was this landmark moment. So you're somebody that's post that mentality is where you
Yes.
kind of grew up. Yeah.
Yeah. And everything was like scary Arab. Like, Muslim terrorists are coming. ISIS is down the block. Sharia law is coming. Like it's actually absurd. Like when you think about it, but that was how I was raised. And then like when, again, all on background, and it was like, I never saw anyone talk about Gaza. Never saw anybody talk about Palestine. It was all always just about, and even when I grew up and I started to get involved in politics and I became a progressive, because I was raised pretty conservative. And then when I became a progressive when I was grown up, and my first real introduction to politics was in 2016 during Bernie's campaign, I still, which makes sense now because Bernie's low-key also a Zionist, but at the time, I noted like it still, looking back, wasn't really talked about. Like it wasn't, I had a very much like chauvinistic American mindset where like nothing outside the US mattered to me. I didn't care about foreign policy. If it was outside of our borders, I didn't give a shit. Like everything to me, even when I was first involved in politics, was just about America. And like I said, because this is such like there's so much suffocating Israeli propaganda in this country, it's not like it was like Democrats and Republicans where both sides fight each other. It was like, no, they're all on the same side. They're all on the side of Israel. It doesn't matter if you're a progressive, lefty, like Bernie Sanders or AOC, whether you're a regular standard hack liberal like Kirsten Gillibrand or Chuck Schumer or Richie or Tel Aviv Torres, or if you're a right winger like Ted Cruz or Trump or anyone, they're all on the same. They're all on the same side, Flanders. So it doesn't. So I had no like understanding really of what happened. And then, like I said, October 7th happened, and I immediately fell for all the Zionist lies at first. I was like, oh my gosh.
How long did it take you?
Within a few weeks, I was
Okay, because I said in the very beginning, I'm giving everyone a 2 to 3 week grace period before you have to get yourself right on this. Like before you have the time to realize something is not what they're telling us.
well, initially, like I believed all the lies, like I said, because basically I'd been primed my whole life for this. But then I was like, I did start to think, okay, well, why did this happen? It was pretty quickly that I was like, well, why did this happen? Why did they do this? I mean, I'm assuming it's because they're hateful and they're all barbarians who just want to kill Jews, but like I kind of want to look into this. And here comes TikTok. And all of a sudden on TikTok, which is the real reason why they wanted it banned, I started following and seeing videos by Palestinians for the first time in my entire life. And I was like, what are they saying about it? I was just curious. What are they saying about it? I want to know what they're saying about it. So I started following Palestinian creators, and I started following Palestinians on Twitter, and I started following anti-Zionist Jews on Twitter. and looking for people because I was so terrified, even when I started realizing that like Israel was bad, I was so terrified to criticize them because I really believed that criticizing Israel was criticizing Jews. And like, I didn't want to be anti-Semitic. So like, I was so afraid of being not just called anti-Semitic, I was afraid of being anti-Semitic. Like, I was like, of course I don't want to be anti-Semitic. So I was afraid of criticizing them because to me, the conflation was very successful of conflating those two things together. So I started looking for anti-Zionist Jews, and from the creators that I was first following, they started recommending books.
Yes.
People. So Norm Finkelstein was one of the first people that somebody was like, you need to go read his book about the Holocaust industrial complex. You need to read Rashid Khalidi's 100 Years War on Palestine. And people just started recommending books to me. And it was so overwhelming. And also like documentaries and podcasts and like, so basically people just started like sending me all this stuff, like go like read this book and go get this podcast and follow this. Sim Kern was another anti-Zionist Jew that I started
following.
Love
her. I'm getting her book any day now.
She's non-binary too. So she uses they, them pronouns.
Well, I just know that I ordered a signed book and I'm like, where's my book? And still mine should be coming any day. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool looking cover. I like that.
It is. It's really cool. They actually signed my book because I went to their book reading the other day in Brooklyn.
Okay. Mine is supposed to be signed when it gets here. Okay. Because I was told, I'm just saying, because I waited the extra time. So
yes. No, Sim is great. And Sim was one of the people that I first started following.
Okay.
Because I wanted to listen. I already knew the Zionist perspective. I wanted to listen to a perspective coming from Jews that were not Zionists. So I started following Sim and I learned a lot from Sim. It makes sense that Sim, I found out the other day, used to be a teacher. I was like, oh, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because one of the things I loved about Sim early on when I was starting to learn about Palestine was the way that they presented information was really relatable and understandable. Like I remember one of the first videos I saw Sim do was when they were like, ethno-states are bad. No one gets an ethno-state. And I was like, yeah. Why do they get an ethno-state? Like that was one of like the first like things that I saw. And then, like I said, there's a Palestinian creator that was another like big influence on my early when like as far as like TikTok goes that also recommended books and stuff. Their name is Sbey. I always like know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but he is a Palestinian content creator who was one of the first ones that like really like threw me. I was like trying to just wrap my head around like his perspective because like he was the first one that said like, no, this is a settler colony. This is the settler colony. And, you know, the Palestinians are resisting. And I was like, wait, what?
I was taught there was no one there. So, you know, that my people, because of my people, the desert bloomed. That's what I was told.
Yeah. So it was, they also helped me navigate some of the books I was reading that overwhelmed me when I was first getting the books and I was starting to read about the books about Palestine. When I was first,
there's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was like overwhelmed by it because I didn't really understand at first. Like even when I first got Rashid Khalidi's book, which I feel like is more digestible than some of the other books that people sent me.
Like Elon Pappy's book is really good too.
Oh my gosh, he was one that's a perfect example of one that I felt so overwhelmed by. Oh, he's going back to the 1800s. And I was like, who the fuck is what the fuck is British mandated Palestine? Like, what does this even mean? What is the Zionist Congress? Like, it was like, I was so confused. So like, one of the things that having TikTok actually helped a lot, and Twitter, because I was following a lot of people on Twitter, was having people explain some of the books that I was reading or give context to some of the books I was reading to help me feel less overwhelmed about the stories that I'd never heard before. And also that a lot was like people were sending me documentaries. So I started watching documentaries about Palestine too. And that also helped a lot. And then another thing was, so that was all I was just cramming and cramming and cramming. Like I was reading and reading and reading. I was reading articles people were sending me. I was listening to these podcasts. I was watching these documentaries. So I was just like inundating myself for months with just like all things Palestine, like just inundating myself. Learning for like months and months and months, reading everything I could, reading every article somebody tagged me in, watching every video or documentary somebody sent me. So I was really just like absorbing myself in it. And the more I learned, the more my mind was being blown. I felt like I could not believe it. Like I felt like, and then I started feeling like I had to tell everyone, like the way people do when they get converted to Christianity.
You're born again.
Yes, born again. Yeah. And so I started feeling like I was running around, got to tell everybody everything I was learning. Because I knew that if I didn't know, and I felt like I knew some things about American politics, and there was no way that most other, college educated white trash people in this country who were like me didn't know either. So I felt this like obligation to like tell my fellow cracker what was happening. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to like talk about this to people and that's like who my content was for, because obviously I don't need to tell an anti-Zionist Jewish person like things that like they're already learning or they already know from a lens that I can't understand. And obviously I don't need to tell, I'm an Arab person doesn't need to learn this shit from me. So my focus was to try to talk to other people like me, uneducated, indoctrinated Americans who don't know shit about shit. And who are told when they try to learn about it that it's either too complicated or it's not our place or it's anti-Semitic, which is another thing I just had to get used to being called, because I started getting called anti-Semitic.
Oh, own it. Wear it like a badge of honor. And here's the thing, though. The people that are, I don't know if you've noticed this, the people that are calling you anti-Semitic aren't Semites. Now, what's really fat.
And they're usually really racist, too. The ones who are
they're all white Ashkenazi. So this is what I say to people. I have nothing against the Semites. I love the Semites. Semites are good. White Ashkenazi Zios are the problem. So that is what it's a white thing. It's a white supremacy thing more than any of it, because even have you learned how they treat the Mizrahi Jews?
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah, which like, and that's the lie of it's so multicultural. Ethan Decline is like, I'm gonna go to Israel and show you guys how multicultural it is. It's like, it's so fucking crazy, like learning about all that. And I was like, so when I was first getting called anti-Semitic a lot, I was getting very upset about it. Like, I was like, obviously, like, if you are like in this country, if you're progressive, I should say, or if you're anywhere on the left, you obviously don't want to be called that. I know that like right wingers don't give a shit if like they're called like racist or anti-Semitic, but if you're on the left, generally you don't want to be called that.
I know.
I had to get over it.
That's how it's weaponized. That's how they get away with what they get away with, which is why lately I've just been saying now when people call somebody an anti-Semite, let's just say, okay. But here's the bigger issue that I've talked about on this show is, let's say you are anti-Semitic. And let's say you're putting out anti-Semitic content. Okay. That's called free speech. We're allowed to be anti-Semites. That's the thing. So like this fact that we're debating whether or not someone's anti-Semitic, I argue it's irrelevant. Yeah. No, you don't want to hang out. I don't want to hang out with people that are anti-Semites because I don't want to hang out with them, but they're allowed to be that. They're allowed to say it and they're allowed to talk about it. And it's very frustrating to me that we're getting lost in this because now we're seeing what's happening with the First Amendment shit.
Speaking of being allowed to say whatever you want.
Okay, go ahead.
The state of Israel has decided that they're just not playing around anymore. They're just letting it fly. So, hey, let it fly, baby. Here's the Israel finance minister, and we will also get to Netanyahu.
אני חושב שהגיע העת, ואמרתי את זה לראש ממשלה ואני אומר את זה גם כאן, להתנפל על עזה, לכבוש אותה כפי שהבטיח לנו הרמטכ"ל הנוכחי כשנכנס לתפקידו על דעת כן, ולא לפחד, כן, לכבוש את רצועת עזה, להקים בממשל צבאי, לקחת להם שטח, לממש את תוכניתו של הנשיא טראמפ, ולהוציא 1.5 מיליון, 2 מיליון עזתים מעזה. יש שיח מאוד מעמיק, וצריך אגב להשקיע בזה ולעבוד בזה, כדי לייצר אלטרנטיבות של מדינות אחרות.
I'm pretty sure there's a warrant out for this fucker.
Well, there should be for all of them, but this is
He's
Israel.
one of the ones listed. That's Smotrich.
Yes.
I don't know if he is. I know Ben Gvir is. I don't know if he is, but yeah, but
I think it's the three of them. It's Smotrich, Ben Gvir, and Netanyahu. And this, but you know what? So again, a white man. This is a white man that plays the anti-Semite card.
Right.
ברירה, אלא לעשות את זה כאן ועכשיו.
ואם לא גיוס, זה כולל גיוס מילואים?
אם אתה הולך למבצע ענק, אתה מגייס את כל הצבא.
That's annoying too. That is so frustrating. Stop calling people Gazans.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That's the name of a concentration camp, quite honestly. I mean,
Well,
it's like, that's offensive. Like the whole thing, he's so gross.
Well, this is also their version of the final solution. This
Oh,
is what they're doing. This was always the intention. This was the intention from the very beginning, which is why call me conspiratorial, I don't really care, but I do believe that October 7th was orchestrated by Netanyahu along with other players to ensure that this opportunity was going to present itself. Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why the pressure was put on Trump 7 years ago to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Everything has, again, we're only looking at this from...
Yeah, because Obama didn't have the balls to do it. He wanted to. Let's not forget, he wanted to. He didn't have the balls to do it. That's
what
the
I'm
only
saying.
difference.
What I'm saying is that in the here and now, we don't take the time to realize that the actions of yesteryear is what leads to why we are here today. Everything has a process, which is why, Blakeley, if you need a recommendation for another book, our friend Ken McCarthy, JFK and RFK versus Zionist Extremism, is a great book to read on. And if you need any more links to the JFK assassination and the role that Israel clearly played in the assassination.
Yeah, Ken did a great job.
Because one of the main reasons that Jack was killed was because he did everything in his capacity to ensure that Israel did not get a nuclear weapon. And we all know that ever since Jack's assassination, no one has brought this world to its knees in a more profound way than the state of Israel. And do you need more proof? Well, here's Mr. Netanyahu to solidify that sentence.
ישבנו עד שעה מאוחרת בקבינט והחלטנו על פעולה עצימה בעזה. זו הייתה המלצת הרמטכ"ל, ללכת, כפי שהוא אמר, להכרעה של החמאס. ובדרך הוא חושב שזה יסייע לנו גם לחלץ את החטופים, ואני מסכים איתו. אנחנו לא מרפים מהמאמץ הזה ולא נוותר על אף אחד. תהיה הנאה של האוכלוסייה כדי להגן עליה. דבר אחד יהיה ברור, לא ייכנסו ויצאו. נגייס מילואים כדי שיבואו יתפסו שטח, אנחנו יוצאים מהשטח, רק אנחנו עושים פשיטות ממה שנשאר, אנחנו לא שם. זו לא הכוונה.
אוקיי.
הכוונה הפוכה.
אנחנו הולכים לכבוש את רצועת עזה.
I think he's committing suicide. Like, I think he's suicidal, Netanyahu. I do. I think he knows he's not getting out of this alive one way or another. Either he's going to go to prison for whatever he was up for prison. Like, one way or another, he's not wanting to be, he's committing suicide. That's what all of this is, because he knows his military is in shit shape, that all his people that are ground people are coming home with PTSD and they can't even hack it. All they have are bombs, and that's not enough to actually win anything. They can just keep killing people. He knows that. He knows his economy is in the shit. And he knows that if he even goes anywhere near Iran, that Iran can level Tel Aviv. He knows these things, right? So if he knows these things and he keeps doing what he's doing, then I have to think that he is somewhat suicidal, like that he wants to go out with a bang.
But I still think the greatest danger of Netanyahu is that I think he does know that he's on borrowed time. And if there's anyone on this planet that is likely to drop a nuclear weapon as kind of like a finale, if you will, it's him.
Right. Yeah.
That's what makes him
more likely than Putin.
Or Iran. Like, I mean, the caucasity of the fact, like, how come we're allowed to have nuclear weapons? And by the way, Israel has them illegally. They're not supposed to have them. We're not even supposed to know they have them, but we all know that they have them, even though they're not supposed to have them. And that is a complete violation. And yet that's okay. But yet we're allowed to tell Iran that they're not even allowed to have a nuclear enrichment program. That's caucasity right there, people. Like, you cannot make this shit up.
Well,
Right.
Mr. Smotrich, I get, how do you say his name?
Smotrich. I think, yeah, it's Smotrich.
Shit
Smotrich.
sandwich is what I'll call him. That's my Irish attitude about it. Okay, so Mr. Bagel Shit Sandwich has something to say.
את רצועת עזה, מטהרים אותה, שולטים בכל השטחים שאנחנו נכנסים אליה. סוף סוף, אחרי שנה וחצי שאני צועק את זה בכתב בעל פה מעל כל בנה, משתלטים על הסיוע ההומניטרי כדי שהוא לא יהפוך לאספקה לוגיסטית שמגיעה לחמאס. אנחנו מפרידים בין חמאס לאוכלוסייה ולסיוע ההומניטרי, מחסלים אותו, מכריעים אותו, מכניעים אותו ומשיבים את החטופים. זו הדרך היחידה.
Oh, just so you know, to have a frame of reference, Peter, he's their Paul Wolfowitz.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a evil mastermind person. Yeah, he's their Paul Wolfowitz.
So he's the little dick. Okay. All right.
He's
Well,
that, and he's extremely evil.
Yeah, that haircut is a war crime. Okay, who told him that? Like, okay,
It makes him look like the dick that he is, doesn't it?
what? And it's funny too, because if you would have told me honestly a year ago about this book, which I already forgot the name. So hopefully one of you guys can send me a link after to the,
Sure.
to the
Yes.
book. If you guys had told me that a year ago, I would have been like conspiracy theory. But like now I'm like, no, that makes sense. That sounds like something that the Israeli regime would do. Like it sounds
We
exactly
did
like
a show about it. We did a show about it. We had Ken on, and we've talked about it before. I mean, there were a lot of variables, but not the least of which was, yes, him keeping them from having nukes and wanting David Ben-Gurion and others to register as foreign agents. So there was some of that going on. But then he also did fire Alan Dulles around the same time. A lot of people. Who's to say they weren't all working together? I mean, I don't know, but it definitely has Israel written all over it.
It also makes sense as to why they didn't want to release the files, because you hear a lot of people say, I've heard people argue, why not just release them? Because they go, oh, it's sources and methods and people we have to protect. And everybody is rightfully argued. No one is alive that was involved in that. And we know that like the CIA was, Americans don't really care. They just believe that. So what are you trying to protect if all the people that were involved are dead? Unless it's a country or another government that you're trying to protect that's still around that you don't want us to get mad at.
And we're not allowed to talk about. Again, like the one thing that you're not allowed to criticize, that's what's in charge. That's the ideology in charge. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, it's still American empire that is in charge. That's just our Israel project. And anytime that we start to implode, they're coming with us. Like they can't exist without us. So, but yeah.
That is why I gave away the game when I wanted to convince people that the problem with the health in America is not protecting Israel. That's the real problem. And anytime, and what's funny is I got to tell you something, Blakeley, and I know you'll appreciate this. So I was at RFK's launch in Philadelphia back in October of 2023, just October 10th, 3 days after it happened.
Wow.
And I got a press pass. So I'm in the pit. And who am I standing in the pit with for the longest time? Emily Austin. I had no idea who she was. I had just met her at random. And I noticed that she was wearing a Star of David, and I didn't really think anything of it. And yeah, she's an attractive girl. I'm not going to take that away from her, but I had no idea who I was dealing with. That I was basically dealing with an agent of the Mossad. Like That's what she was there for. That's what a lot of these other people are there for. The way that the Israel lobby has infiltrated our everyday lives and how much they have a stranglehold over our politics, especially when it comes to foreign policy, is something that everybody in this country should be aware of. And like you said, people get turned off by politics, but politics is going to do us if we don't do them. Like that is the crux here. And you brought up Putin, like would he drop a nuke? Look, we've been saying since the beginning of the Ukraine war that this is all being predicated on the fact that the United States wants to bring Ukraine into NATO so that it can control the natural resources in the western part of the country. $7 trillion worth of wheat, cobalt, lithium, everything. And we want it. And Putin said, you're not having it and you're not coming up to our borders. And so to this day, when I listen to anybody wax poetic about what they think they know about these issues who don't actually follow the real independent media that isn't bought by corporate special interests. It's like to this day. I mean, Jen went on Tim Pool's show a number of years ago, but Tim Pool has shown that he is willing to take money from the oligarchs to facilitate a message. Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin. If they are caught with their hand in the cookie jar, that should be the end of it. You should never listen to anything.
All of those clowns are fucking Israel shills. Okay? The whole lot of them. Tim Pool and his fake pretend, oh, well, I'm more anti-war than you, Emma Vigelin. And then when she asked him about Israel, he's like, whatcha? Like, new phone, who dis? Like, it's like he did not want to talk about it. It's like he is such an obvious shill. And all those motherfuckers who made a ton of money off pretending to be pro-free speech during COVID, Rave Dubin and fucking Barry Weiss and Brett White, the whole lot of them that were like, Jordan Peterson. Remember Jordan Peterson acted like he was this free speech warrior and how brave he was for the brave stance of refusing to apologize for misgendering Elliot Page. See, oh my gosh, I just did it. For misgendering Elliot Page. He's like, I'm not apologizing, woke cowards. And like acting like he was all brave, and then turns around and is like on Joe Rogan's show or whoever's show he was on a couple weeks ago, crying and whining about how there wasn't enough censorship of people criticizing the Israeli regime. Like, they're so full of shit. I just can't.
Well, speaking of somebody who we think the world of and is a friend of yours, You know, we're not going to play the clip, but I think anybody who's followed our channel knows that we've highlighted Jacob Berger a time or two, in particular when he was in New York City with the Free Palestine Hasidic Jews. And you had that white Ashkenazi woman who walked up to them and had a conniption fit about, you're not a Jew and this and that. And all I'm thinking is, Jacob you see, it's not about Jacob being Jewish. He just has that New Yorker attitude of like, I ain't taking this shit. Don't even think about putting this in my direction. And the fact that he's got the cojones to be out there in Malta right now, I mean, my God, talk about balls. And this was from the other day, because little Greta Thunberg, who was the face of the climate movement in this country, was this close to being killed the other day. And people want to pretend like it didn't actually happen, but it did. And so this is a message that was put out with Jacob and Greta the other day.
Thank you everyone for your solidarity with the Freedom of Attila campaign, and thank you for continuously raising your voices and demand a free Palestine. It's great to see.
Thank you so much, everybody. The job is not done. We must do everything we can to keep raising awareness, to create a humanitarian pathway to help the people of Gaza.
We need to demand accountability, and we need to understand that we're not expecting anymore the governments to do something. We need to unite as people, and we need to see a free Palestine and an end of the genocide.
Palestinians have been leading the resistance for decades. The world cannot be silent bystanders. Everyone has to raise their voice.
Free Palestine.
Yep. Damn right.
And that's why we also need to continue to fight these social media platforms, because that is so much how so much organizing happens and education happens, and they're trying to take that away. Like, I keep trying to like press upon people that there is an assault on our First Amendment. There's a huge, like, an active assault on our First Amendment, on our free speech, on our ability. Like, I did not have any idea the type of censorship that was happening in this country until this happened. Like, I've never, not even during COVID, I've never seen the type of censorship and the assaults on the First Amendment that I've seen, backed up by everyone from the lobbies, our politicians, the government, the corporations. Like, it's crazy the amount of the social media platforms of censorship that is in this country. And they're cracking down on it even harder because they don't want people's minds to change, which, again,
well, they're losing control. That's what's happening.
Yes, and that's why they're cracking down so hard. And that's why they don't want us seeing those videos, because that was another big thing that also shifted my mindset and helped me understand what's happening in Palestine, was just the videos out of Gaza. What was coming out of Gaza, the videos I was seeing were so horrifying. And they're like, no, our country's like, nah, we can't let them see that. Like, this is, and that's how they use it to like censor us, you know? So that's why I think about Greta Thunberg, like, for instance, like, yeah, she was the face, and then she starts talking about this, and now they don't want to talk about her. They don't want to talk about her. They don't want to deal with her. She's not cute anymore. She's not a media darling anymore. And the fact that barely, I don't even think it made mainstream media news. Not
at all.
It's insane. And like, yeah, I love Jacob. He's wonderful. He was just like here a couple of weeks ago. We were doing content together, and the fact that I admire so much that like he's in Egypt, that he's not afraid to be there, that like, I mean, it's amazing. I was freaking out when that happened because I was worried, like, are they gonna, especially since we know, and I know this now, that if you're an American and Israel kills you, our government won't do shit.
No, they don't care. No, you've heard about the Liberty, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, now I have. But like before, I used to think, again, everything is, the whole thing with Israel and Palestine, and specifically what has happened in Gaza, has actually changed my brain chemistry. Like, it literally has changed everything about my politics, everything about the way I see the world.
You know what? Yeah. It should. The fact that I say this every time, this is not normal. This is not normal. We should never accept this as normal. And the people who aren't being changed by this, they are either the problem or they're psychopathic, right? Or both. You could be both the problem and psychopathic. But like, the fact that people are not being affected by this, that's a sign of their issue, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I can't, like, I am never going to be the same again. I am never going to be over this. I am never going to be okay. Like it's done. Like, and I feel like I'm not going to say like it's ruined my life, but it has definitely altered who I am.
For sure. 100%. I don't ever think I'm going to be the same. Like I don't think the same. I don't view the world the same through anything.
Yeah.
I think it's imperative that I think a lot of us got into, I mean, I've always had an interest in politics since I was young, and I studied it in college and all that. But I got hooked in the summer of 2015 because of Bernie Sanders. That was where I really felt that there was somebody who was trying to lead this country that was doing it clean, which to me was always the thing that attracted me the most to Bernie. I don't agree with all of his policies, but I know that you're dealing with somebody who's not bought and paid for by corporate special interests. A lot of his takes are not good, but I will tell you,
at this point, he might as well take AIPAC money.
If you're
he might as well take your money.
Yeah, if you're not going to fight the way that you need to fight in this moment, then it's not acceptable anymore.
He gave them the money. He signed off for the money. He is trying to distract us with Medicare for all right now. I never thought I would say that somebody's trying to distract us with Medicare for all. But that is what he's doing to usher and sheepdog people back into the Democratic Party.
And that's the thing that I don't understand, Blakeley, because at this point, he knows what's going on. So does Alex. Like, they could pretend like they don't, and they could be like, well, things are more important. No. And especially for him, because I do believe this is his swan song. I can't see him continuing to be in elected office after he's 90 plus years old. But who knows the way this is going? Jen likes to say the Democratic Party is running a hospice at this point. There are twice as many elected Democrats at the federal level than Republicans that are over the age of 70. That's kind of scary. And
amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
God.
But
they will not pass the baton. They will not pass the baton. Like, they don't want to. You're going to have to pry it from their dying carcasses. And then, even then, all they still care about is their portfolios.
Oh, and by the way, Jen, the Democratic yearly gala that's taking place in June for the Florida Democrats, who do you think is the keynote speaker for that wonderful event?
Oh my God, I haven't heard this year. Who is it?
Cory Booker is the keynote speaker.
No!
Keynote speaker in 2016. He was the Florida Blue keynote speaker in 2016. And I remember people like leaving and saying, yeah, he's really just not that interesting. But like
he sucks.
Oh, Cory, prior to Israel, I just called him Big Pharma Booker. But now it's like there's a whole host of things I could say.
Oh, yeah, no, he really is a trailblazer when it comes to being corrupt and taking large donations from the military industrial complex. And I thought that the fact that he did that filibuster, which it wasn't, but that speech for 24 hours without mentioning Gaza once, without mentioning Mahmoud Khalil once, without Rumesa Assad, I thought it was disgraceful, which is horrible. Reason why when I made a video criticizing it that went viral for the wrong reasons, people were mad. The liberals were mad. I got a million people yelling at me saying I was racist and anti-Black because Cory Booker's a hero. And honestly, I did not give a fuck. Like, if I could have gotten away with making a response to all of those idiots and clowning on them for what fucking hacks they are, I would have. But a lot of these platforms are very censorious, and so you can't just like go after like
no.
It's like you people are clowns. Like, you people are clowns. Like, that's what you're doing.
They're very, very privileged. It's a very delusional mindset. So when I went to right after Cory Booker's big speech was the hands-off rallies, as you recall. And I went to the one that was down here in Broward County, the one in Hollywood. And it was all like privileged older white people with their hands off Social Security. I was wearing keffiyeh. There was one other person there that was like a Gaza protester. And there's a woman, and I took a picture of her like I was cheering her on, but I forwarded it to Peter. And her sign said, "What Cory said." That was what her sign said, like what Cory said.
But
and
you know what?
That's who was our protest down here.
But the good news is that type of fervor is dying. And even the people that will come on our threads, and I have to, because I always say, thank you for commenting. Even if you tell me to go fuck myself, I don't care, because you're actually helping our channel. You're helping it reach more people. So if you're going to comment, I don't care what you say. But I will tell them that if you think that telling us how dare you criticize Bernie or AOC? How dare you not support so-and-so? Trump is this, Trump is that. And I'm thinking, keep screaming. Maybe try screaming even louder. It's not going to work again or ever again.
I don't think we'll have another Democrat in the White House from this party.
We're like, guys, have you considered more cowbell? I don't know if you've considered more cowbell. Like, literally though, where I'm like, yeah, same thing. Same with the backlash that I got about the Cory Booker video. I got a similar amount of backlash when I made a video criticizing Bernie Sanders and AOC for being Zionist adjacent or Zionist enablers. And that all these people had this Free Palestine flag at Bernie's rally, and he let the cops drag the woman out.
Oh, we covered that.
Like, what the fuck?
That's when Bernie, that's when I officially
You have to understand.
He's dead to me, and he's officially part of the problem.
You have to understand there's a lot of problems going on here in the American society, and we have our problems. We need the healthcare, we need this, we need that, and the Palestinians, we'll be taking care of them.
It's not charming anymore. That's the problem.
Right. Well, not only that, but there's no way to lie about it and make it seem like it is not so connected to us. Like, there is no way, especially when people are like, we have problems here at home. It's like our problems at home are directly connected to what's happening in Gaza. Directly connected. And it is affecting us in a multitude of ways. Not only if you have a fucking conscience, it should bother you that our tax dollars are going to pay for this and that it wouldn't be happening if not for our tax dollars, but also because of their insane lobby, our freedoms are being attacked. And people, like, I feel like don't get that, like, aren't getting that enough. I'm like, do you not understand? Do you not understand? Oh, yeah. Like, people are getting arrested. People are getting snatched off the street.
And sent to El Salvador.
Yes. Oh, like, and I'm not saying anything. And then people will be like, well, Republicans, shut the fuck up. This isn't about Republicans. Chuck Schumer, and we're going to change America. We're going to fight. He can barely lift his goddamn arms. And then he's like, we will win. And then the guy with the cane and like Maxine Waters, who's like 150, like all old people. And then he's like, when some person the other day is like, are you going to pass the torch to the next generation? He's like, we're going to keep at it and at it and at it. I'm like, how is this real? He hasn't said shit about Mahmoud Khalil.
But then you have the other problem, which is, somebody like David Hogue, who gets into a position of power and is going to just do the exact same thing that they've all done, which is they now have a position of authority and they are good. I'm telling you, my friend, when they get a taste of that action, it's serious business, especially if you pluck somebody out of obscurity. Now, granted, Hogue comes from a very privileged background. We know of him because he's from down here. But I will tell you that you take somebody who's making $40,000 a year in a public service job, and you stick them in a $175,000 a year job in the nation's capital with all the bells and whistles. You know how easy it is to, and the fact is, it's not that hard to buy off a lot of these people. Like, they have their hands out. We talk about Wasserman Schultz constantly because she's just so egregious in the way that she behaves, whether it's for Netanyahu. She's been attached at the hip with him for over 20 years.
She loves him.
The inside.
I think that she really likes him.
Well, she's her cup of tea. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, two peas in a pod, besties. They have a lot in common. But you're right, because you know what that made me just think of? Even quote unquote social media influencers, where the Democrats are pretending now that they're really trying to reach the youths with social media influencers. But I think Jen got that joke. I feel like a lot of people, they don't know where they don't know where it comes from. I feel like you know where it comes from.
Of course. I'm old.
But so with it, you don't have to. I hate when people use that as an excuse when people either be like, I'm too young to know it. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Have you never been on Amazon Prime or like looked at Netflix? Like, you don't find movies. Like, that's not an excuse. Okay. But like that people use, I'm saying, because that's a classic. That should be.
It is, and I have come to learn it is extremely cross-racially appreciated. I did not realize that, and I was set straight by my very good friend Mo, and she made it very clear that is the jam. And I'm like, really? Like, I didn't realize that, but yes, apparently it crosses all racial boundaries for appreciators.
It's a great.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
Yes. I love it when he goes, I got no more use for this guy.
My favorite line in that movie, bar none, it still makes me laugh crazy, insanely hard every time I hear it, is when he says, "Mr. Gambini, didn't I tell you to dress loyally when you come into my courtroom? You were serious about that?"
Yes. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. So, but you know what it made me think of when you're talking about how you can pay someone and then they'll start, falling right into the system. There's this push now from our very elderly Democrats to try to look like they are appealing to the youths now. So they've bought off a few TikTokers and a few Instagram creators. First
You
of
mean
all,
like Midas Touch?
right. First of all, which to me, Midas Touch is actually hurting the country. They're hurting the country with their slop. But they're training Democrats to not think for themselves and not think critically and not think to criticize their own party. It's unbearable. But like, there's like a Brian Tyler Cohen runs some consultancy agency that hires a bunch of these TikTokers and shit.
Of course.
Two of the ones that people think are independent recently are these boys, Parker something and Dean Withers. I'm forgetting Parker's last name, but they're like debate bros who are like really popular now because they go around and they debate the right wing. They are paid millions of dollars. They make so much fucking money, and all they do is shill for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Like this is not an independent, organic movement. It is the same old Democratic shill establishment with just younger voices that they've now started to put on TikTok and YouTube, which should be, they should be doing, but any party should be doing. But what they don't want to address is that it's not just about youthful messaging. It's that your party is rotten.
They think that messaging is no, they've been saying that all along. That's what it is. The problem is messaging. No, the problem is you suck ass and have no substance, stand for nothing in your corporate horrors. That's the problem. It isn't messaging.
We have said time and again, no matter how many ways to Sunday you try to distract somebody from the real issue here and why you don't talk about the critical issues of our time, whether it is about why Ukraine happened, why Gaza happened, why we don't have health care, why we don't have a living wage, why our water is poisoned, why we cannot have any say in how our tax dollars are actually allocated for causes and whatnot.
And tax dollars don't fund spending. Sorry.
Here's the reason. Because our government is corrupt because it's been bought by corporate special interests. So for the people on the political right who constantly talk about how the government is corrupt, you are correct. And this is why, because the very people that you see, like Elon Musk, are the very people that are controlling our government. This has become a playground for the super rich, and it's the tech super rich who already have a masters of the universe Oedipal complex that they deal with on a regular basis. And so that's why when I think about the worst of the worst, I think of Palantir's Alex Karp and how he got caught the other day. Here's a guy who really does believe that he's a god, like he sees himself in a godlike way. Well, somebody decided to confront him at a speech that he was giving the other day.
Did you see this?
Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh, shit.
Like you're one of those people.
He's like demonic. Like the way he got all excited. He's like, oh.
Yeah, he has no give a shit about anybody.
Wait, did I kill some of your family members? Oh, that makes me so excited. Oh.
Yeah. And,
How do you sleep at night?
well, do you want to hear my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, I think the primary cause of death to Palestinians. Okay. Do you want to hear the answer, or do you want to yell?
I want to know what he thinks is the primary
you don't want to hear an
cause
answer?
of death.
Obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will.
If I had a gun right now, I could shoot you and I'd get away with it, lady, just so you know.
Right. But Hamas, of course. It's a noun.
It is a noun.
His physical manifestations, the way he moves, is a person that knows he's being watched, But if this was complete behind closed doors and no one could see it and no one can hear it, he would say, I'm going to suck the soul out of your body.
Well, him and Peter Thiel both to me are like, they look like they're pod people. They're not, these are psychopathic people. This is not normal. This is not normal. Like, and I reject that. I reject the pod people.
But the beautiful thing about it that I want people to understand when they still are going around in circles wondering, why do we have genocide that we're not able to stop? Why do we not have a living wage? Why are all of our jobs being outsourced? Why is so much of our economy so centralized and we are not able to live in all parts of the country to find work and be able to make a living and live off the land and whatnot? It's because of people like him. Alex Karp is one of the main reasons. Palantir is just as guilty as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. It's all interconnected.
Well, and let's not forget United Healthcare.
Totally.
This man right here.
I mean, all connected.
Man right here is the person who gave the technology to Brian Thompson at United Health to be able to use AI to make basically like a 90%.
Free Luigi.
Yeah, 90% reduction in people's ability to get claims. Which is why if you do not have single payer, if you had single payer health care, you would render people like this completely powerless when it comes to our health in this country. So when people
that's why we don't have single payer health care because of people like him.
Because of people like him.
I'm telling you, we need to make a list like Canary Mission. We need to have a list like they have a list of all of these kinds of people and put it out there, like promoting it like the Canary Mission does.
He is a mass murderer. Alex Karp is a mass murderer, and that is not even it's not even a question of being adjacent. He makes conscious decisions to kill people, and he kills people for money and power.
But then if somebody kills him, it's, oh my God, that's killing him in cold blood. It's out of nowhere. We can't have that kind of violent behavior.
Right.
Blakeley, it was just like
this is violence. What he does is violence.
Blakeley, it's like you were saying earlier about Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss owns and operates the Free Press, which is funded by Zionists who want to facilitate the narrative that there's no genocide, Israel's great, kill all the Palestinians because they're trying to kill us. That's it. It is just another form of mass murder, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, and I'm never going to get over the fact that that clown had the goddamn minerals to name that shit the Free Press. No, that is ridiculous. You don't what? How do you have the balls to name that propaganda rag the Free Press?
How does the entire leadership of Israel now go on national TV and say we are committing a final solution? Because when you really believe that you're benevolent and you can't be stopped, eventually the pride is the greatest before the fall, and maybe that's what's going to happen. I hope so. But somebody like Alex Karp, this is your enemy. This is your enemy. There's plenty of them out there, and there's bad people on both sides.
That's what I mean. We need a list. We need a master list.
I ain't making no list. I'm just letting people know. If you want to know who's actually making your life fucking miserable to survive in the United States of America.
You mean it's not the immigrants? You mean it's not the immigrants?
Oh, it's totally, excuse me, it's totally the immigrants. It's their fault. They did it all.
The murderers that are all coming over here.
The thing that makes me so insane about it is that I feel like more people would understand that actually billionaires are bad and they are your enemy and they are evil.
Yeah.
If we didn't have so much stupidity and propaganda from the different parties that basically only make it like your billionaire is bad. Like the right wing totally understands why George Soros is bad and Bill Gates is bad, but they don't understand why Elon Musk is bad because their billionaires are good. It's like, no, they're all bad.
All bad.
I will say, though, there's a lot of people on the libertarian right, they're awake and they know the score. They're not all the way completely willing to cut off Trump at this point, but I will tell you, there are so many more people that voted for Trump that are never going to play into that bullshit again in a way that they're not indoctrinated the way that people who still think that Kamala Harris would have been such a better option for president than there's like you were saying before, there are people who think that the Christian Zionist more dangerous than the Jewish Zionists? I don't agree, because a substantial portion of the Christian Zionists come from the Deep South and the heartland, in places where education is not a priority, and they all grow up around the church. They learn a lot of these things. It's indoctrinated from day one, but they are what you would call uninformed. Whereas the Zionist Jews who live in the affluent parts of the United States, they're misinformed, but they are convinced that they are correct, because so many of them come from a liberal bend where they believe, because they read 50 books a year, that makes them better than the next person.
Well, that's just the added layer of privilege. That's their added layer of privilege that shows through, that you don't necessarily always see in maybe like Christian Zionists that might not come off that way.
And Blakeley, the other reason you have an opportunity to get to those people that live in places like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, and the like, is because they are struggling to survive. The people that live in New York City and Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Chicago, they're not struggling. They're living very comfortably. And that's why their laissez-faire attitude, like Barry Weiss, is able to show through, because for them, this is a class war, nothing more. And until the people of this country get it, we are going to be stuck with people like Alex Karp even being able to show their faces in public. Guys like him should already be underground in a fucking bunker for the rest of his life. But
I know. Can't they go soon? Can't they go now?
We're working on it, baby.
How much longer do we have to watch him? Is it bad?
Just a few seconds.
Okay. You are killing my people, and you're justifying it because of Hamas or anyone else.
Can we get security up there?
Your AI and your technology from Palantir kills Palestinians.
Mostly terrorists, that's true. She believes I'm evil. I believe she's an unwitting product of an evil force, Hamas. That she unwittingly is part of their strategy, that she is a product.
He doesn't even believe that, though.
And the most important thing, arguably, in the book, or what Palantir, or what you could learn, is do not become a product of an ideology that sounds sensible.
He doesn't believe that. He absolutely doesn't believe that.
What I found equally impressive.
It's infuriating, right?
Like, you gotta give him credit for this. He did admit that they are murdering civilians. Well, mostly Hamas. We're killing civilians too, but you know,
they don't understand that Hamas is civilians.
It's worse than that. He called all Palestinians terrorists.
Yeah.
He just, as usual, called all Palestinian terrorists. Like, these people are so incredibly evil. Like,
you have to be to get to that point, you know, and I don't want to keep you. I know you've been here a while, and I appreciate your time. Peter, is there anything else you want before we get into where everyone can find you?
Yes, I would just like to say that thank you for what you do. I know that there are probably nights where, like many people, you know, you have tears streaming down your face. Like, am I doing enough?
Oh.
I work hard enough. I know that for Jen, it's very personal. We had Steve Sosby of Heal Palestine on Monday evening.
Are you familiar with Heal Palestine?
Hmm?
Are you familiar with Heal Palestine? Oh, you have to look up Heal Palestine. It's the same guy who created the Palestinian Children's.
Wait, I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to connect you with a whole bunch of people.
This guy's the one. They're the ones that's coordinating to bring the children out of Gaza to get medical treatment here with their families. Like, he's the guy, and he's been doing this type of work for kids for 30 years. The Heal Palestine is a new organization, because the board of the old group didn't want to just focus on this right now because they were more broad. So he just created Heal Palestine like a year or so ago, and they arrange for these kids to come here. It's the only light that I have seen in this darkness. Like, when they arrange for these kids to get celebrated at the airport when they come here, and people show up with balloons for it's solidarity and people in the community coming together. But this guy's honestly, people in the comments were even saying he's a saint. This is one of those people. Yeah, you definitely need to check out Heal Palestine and promote them and what they're doing. It's amazing.
Blakeley, by all means, please shout out whatever you're working on, how people can find you. We would also really love to, when he gets back, to connect with Jacob Berger. Thank you for all that you do. You really are a bright light in an otherwise very dark world that we're living in right now. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely connect you guys with Jacob when he gets back. He is going to come back in I think a month. He's going to be back. So to shout out, I want to shout out a couple of things.
Please.
One if anybody knows a good contract lawyer, because I still am trying to find somebody to sue YouTube for them unfairly permanently demonetizing me, because they said I'm Hamas. So that's been months of trying to fight with them, and they haven't given me my channel back. And then another one is people can follow me on all channels at I am Blakeley. That's like where all of my channels are under, and I'm on all of them. And then another thing I wanted to quickly shout out was that I'm going to be starting a Discord server soon with Mo Hums, who is a Palestinian activist.
Oh, love him. He just got taken down. I mean, like so many of his stuff's been taken down. I would push it, but the Instagram I have is nothing. But like, I love him.
Yeah, so he just got banned from Instagram. So basically what we decided we wanted to do, and I'm gonna meet up with him soon. We're gonna talk about it. What we decided is that we are going to start a Discord where we can have a rapid response to start actually fighting back against Zionist censorship in social media. Because whether it's what they did to me, where they permanently demonetized me on YouTube, whether it's banning him, they banned a shitload of Palestinian activists off of Instagram. What I have noticed in seeing that, and I've dealt with a ton of censorship from all the social medias, TikTok comes after me constantly, is that there's no one fighting back. There's no one to help. There's no one to reach out to. But when you look at the Zionists, they are coordinated as fuck. They get upset. They're calling the ADL. They're getting all their influencers in lockstep to put their shit out. They're going, they are doing it. It is not just money, though. It is organized. They are incredibly organized in a way that the left and the pro-Palestine are not. Because one of the things I noticed, and I noticed this from going off about my own issues that I've been dealing with YouTube, as well as what happened to Mo, there's a lot of defeatist attitude. A lot of people where their response is, oh, that sucks. You should just stop using Instagram. Or, oh, that sucks. Try going to Rumble. Or, that sucks. They suck. There's no attitude of, why don't we learn from the Zionists? Why don't we learn from them? It's not just money. They're organized as fuck.
You know what I call that? We need to Black Panther this shit. That's what you got to do. You got to Black Panther this shit. You got to play their game how they play their game.
Exactly. And they are so effective because not only do they have money, of course, but they are so coordinated. They are so coordinated. So what we are going to do, and we're going to be talking about it more in brainstorming, is we're going to start a Discord so that we can start figuring out how to get all of us. I don't care if you are a lawyer, if you are an activist, if you're a podcaster, if you're a janitor. I want everyone who is pro-Palestinian to have a centralized place where we can start to organize. So when these motherfuckers come after one of us, they've come after all of us. So we can go after them in a much coordinated way, because it might have been different. If we had that right now, then when Mo got taken down, if 200 or 3,000 people all went after Instagram and made a big fucking deal about it, and all the influencers made videos about it, and lawyers made statements about it, they would have had to put them back up. It's because we are so decentralized, which decentralization is good, but we also need to be centralized, and we need to work the way the Zionists work. So I'm working on that project with him. We're going to be starting to do it to start to fight back, because I'm tired of these hoes coming after us. Because in order to fight the Zionist agenda, in order to fight for Palestine, we need our speech. We need our speech. We can't have them trying to take us off. And they're going after me. Ethan Decline's audience is going after me on TikTok right now because I criticize that he's a fucking Islamophobe, because he is. So, we need people to fight back. And so, that's what. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, please, people, follow me on all the channels, because I will be keeping everybody updated with that. And once we start the Discord, I'm going to invite everyone I can.
Good. Maybe somebody can explain to me how to use Discord. I've seen it. It scares me. So many emojis. I don't understand any of it. I don't know who goes where, what. I don't understand it.
Girl,
I'm extremely supportive.
I had to start learning it, because I felt honestly overwhelmed by it too.
Well, keep fighting the good fight, and you have a couple of fighters here who will back you up.
Totally.
As a matter of fact, Colin, I don't know if our producer is the same producer of Jordan Chariton's Status Quo. So I know that Jordan had a problem where I know his channel, I think, either got demonetized or taken
for a
out.
long time. He had issues for a long time. He was very busy calling out the Flint water crisis and how they're being poisoned. And apparently the oligarchs don't want to be called out for poisoning people.
So sorry, I don't want to keep you guys because I know I talk a fucking lot and I know I can go off. But that was the other thing that I learned that I looked at when I saw the lack on the left was that when a right winger gets demonetized or gets attacked, their whole fucking ecosystem comes out and starts crying and whining about it until they get their shit back. Yet when I did it, there are podcasts that I've reached out to ask them to have me on so I can talk about what happened at YouTube, and they ignore me. Leftist podcasts that'll be like, we're on the left, we're trying to build a progressive movement. I reach out to them, they ignore me. I'm like, are you? We need to get a lot better about that.
Yeah.
This is exactly why my living is not dependent on the podcast.
Yeah, we don't. This is just.
We do this because we care. And for the people whose career is dependent on it,
they get bought.
That's what they're thinking about. It's the same thing. If you like people, a good example is I would tell people, you know why Thomas Massey, even though he's a conservative, why he's a very honest operator in politics? Because the guy is a certified genius. The guy went to MIT. He literally knows how to live off the land. The guy doesn't need to be in Congress. So if he somehow gets voted out, it's not the end of his life. Whereas for a lot of other people, that is their life. And if there was even an inkling that they're going to lose it, they'll move heaven and earth to keep it.
Right. But again, they should have the solidarity because I will always defend people's content creator as a real job. It is a real job. And I will defend that. And I think we need more of them on the left. We don't have enough people on the left in media fighting against this narrative. My thing is that really pisses me off is that it's the left that is supposed to be more collectivist. The right are the ones who are
we have a lot of infighting. We have way too much infighting and ego.
Yes. And so I think there just needs to be more solidarity is what I'm saying between creators to encourage more people to be in media because that, like I said, the right wing, they're another one. They're fucking effective. And there's a lot that we could learn from them.
I agree.
Agreed.
Well, do me a big favor since my father has a mini Dotson, long hair named Reese, who looks just like a Reese's peanut butter cup. That adorable little munchkin. They are too smart for their own good, but my God, are they not a great pet? My God.
Yeah,
they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Blakeley. It was so nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you having me on. I had a great time.
You can come back anytime.
Great. I'd love to have you guys on my stream.
Totally.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And if there's anything that we could do to help you get your channel back on, we'll definitely do it.
Yeah, and tell Mo I'm a big fan. He's got the best rage. I love his rage.
I know. He's awesome. I love him. He's great. Thank you guys so much. Definitely be in touch. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was a great conversation.
She was lovely.
Yes, I thought you guys would get along. And
lovely.
Guys, if you enjoyed that conversation as much as we did, make sure you get over to patreon.com/generational change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. But we also have a tremendous support network of people who are YouTube members and contributing. SJ, of course, got us started off early, but Chip chipped in $2. Huskies are just as bad. Well, Huskies shed a lot of hair, like a lot of hair. So that's wonderful dogs, but my goodness, they really come in handy, though, in the winter. In the winter.
As a blanket?
Absolutely. Jen, a friend of yours, 42 tribes with the 420, just wanting to let you know. Wonder if they're anti-Zionism being a reparationist. I don't know if I follow that one.
The problem is when that came through, what were we talking about? That's part of the problem when you go back and look at super chats when they're writing it in the moment in the context of what we're talking about. And I don't know who's the I'm a reparationist.
Well, here's the 420 for you.
I'm an anti-Zionist and a reparation and a 420 aficionado. In fact,
Donald James, thank you for the 17 months. Hello, Pete and Jen. Good to see Blakeley here, a true voice for Palestine. Yes, she certainly is. And a great content creator, I might add.
Yeah.
Chip chipping in again with the $2, not to mention how they treat the Ethiopian Jews.
Those are Mizrahi Jews. Those are considered the Mizrahi Jews. Any of the African Jews and the Arabic Jews, the Arabian Peninsula Jews, those are the Mizrahi Jews.
Chipping in again with the $2. Israel has lost, and what comes around goes around. Well, I think it's going to be very, very bad for them. And what's also very interesting is how they talk about things are not going well, and yet they want everyone to believe that everything is going great right now, that they're winning, that everything is perfectly fine. No, it isn't. So
what's happening? You mean there's things in the world, there's problems?
Yeah.
Chip said he emailed it to us, so you could pull it up probably and look at whatever the nonsense is.
Yeah,
he thinks we're pissed at him. No, we just think that you're a tool.
Yeah, pretty much. The Progressive Lefty, thanks for the $6.99 Canadian A. Ever since the Thinks Eastern Bloc COLA, PSED, the Cap Italians had no counterbalance.
Ever since the Eastern Bloc collapsed, the capitalist Italians had no
types like that.
Well, I don't know that he's not. For all I know, he's driving. Don't drive in text. I don't know why. And I have problems because when I'm like, for example, on Punch Up Pod, I'm watching, I'm on my tablet. And when I try to type on the tablet, I am so not nimble, and it just all sorts of weird shit. But it's collapsed. Eastern Bloc collapsed. Yeah.
What? Thank you so much for the $49.99. Oh, thank you, because this helps us grow. Mark J, thank you for the $2. First rate discussion, truth. Thank you. Thank you as always for being here, Mark. And $49.99 again from what? For the fight.
Well, we so appreciate that.
We do. And it really does make a difference for us. And chipping in $10. We're keeping up the effort here. Thank you very much. You guys have been fantastic. I think there's a couple of places we could go because obviously we've been going forward. I tell you, my friend, they just keep coming. They keep coming to our guys. If you haven't seen the clip of Jen calling out Bernie, you have to go there and see the sycophants that are complaining that we're giving Bernie the business, that he somehow is above any type of criticism.
Which clip did we put out? What was I saying? Which clip is this?
About the Medicare for All with Pramila Jayapal and Debbie Dingleberry. Sorry, I had to say.
God.
That's how everybody should refer to her anyway.
Well, because the people that are now are the people that were the Hillary people that wouldn't give Bernie the time of day when we told them that was the compromise then. So now those people, the libs, are finally on board with Bernie because those are the only people that love to like vote shame and shame everybody because they're so fucking sanctimonious and condescending.
Or the caucasity, I'd like to say, Jen.
The caucasity? Well, I mean, it's a level of elitism and condescension that comes from the libs that is the reason that they're dying off and failing because people, especially working people that are struggling to live, which we know is most Americans, they're not having it anymore. They don't want to hear your elitist bullshit anymore. You know that they always show the Met Gala. They always superimpose the pictures from that with pictures from Palestine over the past couple of years and play that Hunger Games theme song. Like, you know what I'm talking about? So like while we're having all these fancy dresses, which by the way, most of the people look absurd. I don't care what anybody says. They look ridiculous at that thing. They all look ridiculous. That event to me is the Hunger Games. Like that whole big thing. I mean, all we need is friggin' Stanley Tucci to don his Caesar Flickerman outfit and be standing outside the Met Gala just doing his thing. Like it's not even real. It's not even real. And the amount of people that just, they feel the need to just not wear clothes, but wear clothes. The amount of skin that people feel the need to show at some of these things is so stupid. Like it just doesn't even look that good. Well, it just doesn't look that good.
I just find it interesting how people just constantly want to pretend like the world is not spinning out of control in such a profound way, and how you can go to an event like the Met Gala at a time like this.
Doesn't
make any sense.
That's the thing. But I felt that way about the Oscars. But I feel that way about the Oscars even before we were having the final solution in Palestine. Like all of those things are just such elitist, ridiculous, frigging rich people patting themselves on the back for how rich they are shit. Like it's so disgusting to me. All of it is like, I can't.
Well, there's that whole phony baloney syndrome that so many people suffer from. But if you want to know why things are the way that they are, this will explain how third world countries end up the way that they do, and how we have basically run a terror operation around the world. Israel just happens to be front and center right now because that's our conduit in the Middle East. But this is how it works.
Ways, but principally, we identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil. Arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. The money never actually goes to the country. It goes to our own corporations.
This is Tales from an Economic Hitman. Confessions from an
That help
Economic Hitman.
a few very wealthy people, but don't benefit the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity or have cars to drive on the highways, and yet they're left holding a huge debt that they can't repay. So we go back at some point and say, you know, you can't pay your debts. Give us a pound of flesh. Sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies.
This is Gaza right now. These are the oil companies coming to Gaza to collect all of the rich natural gas that is under Gaza soil. And all it costs was 2 million dead people, because that's how many are probably going to die. But hey, $500 billion with a T underneath Gaza soil. And if that's not enough.
Well, so that'll only pay for half a year of his military budget, according to him.
Hey, if you're going to build a Riviera along the Mediterranean coastline, that's worth trillions right there. So there, it will not sustain itself. It can't sustain itself.
No, that's why. This is why part of me wants them to go at Iran. I do, like in a way, like when you, I really want them to have the find out portion. I want them to get to the find out portion, and that will facilitate the find out portion.
I don't think there's any coming back from this. That's the thing.
No, there's no coming back from this. Vote with us on the next critical UN vote.
Allow us to build a military base in your backyard. Something along these lines. And when we fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow or assassinate these leaders. And if the jackals fail, as they did in Iraq, then we send in the military.
And this has repeated itself.
Well, the jackals are the economic hitmen. And for anybody who hasn't read it, it's a good book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. That's the premise. That's what we've done around the whole world. That's how we've built up military bases around the world. That's how we covet people's resources. That's how we covet their labor. And that's what we do. We go around and exploit. And that's when people say things about China and what they do in terms of going into Africa and stuff like that. You know, I'm sure they have whatever their motivations are. I'm sure they do. They have whatever their motivations are, but they're not going in there violently, militarily, and imposing dominance over people. And that's a big difference. I think the world has had it with us.
I think that's what Debbie looks like in her true form, Jen.
I can't. Oh my God. That's what happens. That's what happens when the sun goes down. That's what happens. I can't even say Two-Face because that's just always how I think of her.
No, that's like that. Well, that's also Peter Thiel, just like trying to pop out of the skin.
Well, both of them, him and Alex Karp, to me, they look like there is something very inherently like not
you could
right.
tell Karp was like getting turned on by it.
It was gross. It was gross. He's like a pop.
He's like, did I kill your family?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That got me excited. Let's kill a few more.
It was gross.
But I remember reading a story
about beta man.
Well, I remember reading a story about Heinrich Himmler, who is considered the biggest mass murderer of all the Nazis. And yet when he was at one of the concentration camps, he decided he was going to take his shot, and he took a Luger and he shot. I think like I think it was like a Russian, prisoner of war. And apparently he vomited uncontrollably after he did it. Because it's like, I can't do this. Like, of course, you could get other people to do it for you. That's why they have, mass killings and things like that. It's so much easier from afar. But if somebody like Alex Karp actually had to do the dirty work, they can't do it. They can't. They're these, like you said, these beta male soulless bastards. And that's how it leads to the problems that are in front of us right now. So the economic downturn shouldn't come as any surprise. But one thing that we do have to point out before we go, as many of you know, there was a massive arrest, or mass arrest, I should say, that took place at Columbia University. So they're not stopping. They're still going.
So let me ask, so I haven't heard the latest. The last I saw, the Columbia students were like locked up in the library. And then I did see that they got in, like that the authorities got into the library. So are those the people that got arrested? Were the people that were in the library?
These are them.
Back up! Get out of the street! Get out of the street! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Get out of the street! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Get off his back! Get off his back! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up!
I tell you, they're really tough. They're really tough when it's not just a person half their size. They're 3 times the size of this little person.
Yeah, we need to like work on the de-arresting people thing. And that is something that needs to be talked about, and that there's ways to handle that in these situations. Because at the end of the day, there's more of us.
Yeah.
There's more of us.
There is. But that's not the only one.
Video this.
We're going to hang on a second. Some attendees are trying to make it through the line of protesters into Cipriani's.
Oh, Cipriani.
So again, someone in a pink ball gown trying to break through the line of protesters to get in.
I don't understand. Why are they protesting at this place? And why are we calling out just one person dressed? Again, this is like those people sitting in the restaurant.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think it's just one person. I do believe that this is Colin. Is
this related to the Met Gala? That's
because it's got to be. If somebody's dressed like that, then that's got to be.
No, there are other reasons people dress up. This could be just some random person dressed up for like. Why are they protesting right?
This is not the Met Gala. This was the billionaire fundraiser for I think just the GOP in general.
So this is a GOP fundraising event.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. One of those 50,000 a plate things.
Okay. That makes sense. All right, fine. We can that makes sense. I mean, you can't just pick around somebody. For all we knew, she could have been going to a wedding. I mean, like, you know.
All right. Come on, she's dressed like a Disney princess, Jen.
Into Cipriani's. And it looks like she was successful.
Just so you know, I have no start date coming, so everyone here, I'm going to give you a warning now. You're going to have to move because you're blocking the entrance into the place. You're going to be arrested if you don't move, okay?
The NYPD is, if you can hear them, giving another warning to the protesters that are blocking the entrance to Cipriani's. SRG have arrived and are starting to be arrested now.
I wish more people would show up like this older gentleman with the suit on and just show that it's not just, hippity dippities, it's everybody. We're all affected by this, all of us, the select few. And that's also the problem. You're not seeing enough people just kind of walking off the job. That's the other thing that you would hope to see more of.
Well, you know what? We're not seeing a lot of coverage of stuff. But like, for example, the Columbia professors, there were a whole bunch of Columbia professors that have been fighting back and doing what they've been doing too. But it's like, we don't ever get that.
Just remember, glass blasters, whoever you are, as long as you're commenting, more people will see this.
I don't know what that means. What is that?
He's saying he's pro-Israel. Or they, or whoever the hell they are.
Is that, just IL? I was thinking it's Illinois.
No, it's the Israel flag. What are you looking at?
On my screen, it looks like a whole bunch of like letters going across.
Oh, you can't see the emoji because you haven't. No, okay.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so he just put up a whole bunch of
Nazi flags. He likes the Nazi flag.
He really does.
You like your Nazi flag? Keep showing it. Keep showing it.
Progressive lefty with the 279 Canadian A wants you to know my phone has changed my chat, Pachenko.
I told you he was probably.
Yeah, but you said not to do that.
Well, he was doing it by chat, so that's safe. He wasn't trying to do it with his hands, but either way, it got lost in translation.
Well, at least we were able to figure that out. Colin, what is this last clip? This is capitalism.
That's the one of the clips you sent me. I'm trying to remember now, but it was one of those Instagram videos.
Okay, so if I'm reading this correctly, is that the Palestinian flag?
Yes.
All I see, and just so everyone knows, so what I see, Zainab, is PS, 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 PS. Sorry.
Stop. Like a freaking shot. I just want to push the button.
Because you're always playing like commando. Why are you in charge?
Well, Debbie wants you to know that. Well,
I'm in the studio.
Well, Debbie wants you to know that she loves Israel.
Okay, so now I know that letter sequence is the Israeli flag. God, that's a horrible picture.
No, it's an honest picture.
It's so bad.
Could you email us that? Oh, but then that would give away who it is. Well, if you can,
be Sam.
If you can anonymously email us that picture,
Israeli flag emojis.
I want you to anonymously email us that picture, and we will put that up side by side with before and after for Debbie. How she looks on the outside and how she really looks on the inside.
Or you call it Israel and Greater Israel, like they did with Randy Fine.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, by the way, Randy Fine, who was making a speech on the congressional floor, or was in the congressional chambers today, he was wearing a yarmulke. Now he's doing that shit. Now he's just not even.
Did he not when he was in Tallahassee?
I can recall. Not that I recall.
Okay.
It was so profound.
So he's just going to play the card big time. Like Moskowitz. Look at Moskowitz. He loves it.
There was that Florida politics dude that's over in Tampa Bay who's a schlubby wannabe influencer in politics. You ain't shit, Peter Schwartz, if you hear this. Could care less if you hear it or not. Writes an article about, poor little Jared Moskowitz might be in trouble in South Florida. Good. He should be. He should be.
Oh, my goodness.
Party is dying as it should.
But the thing is, people like him, people like Debbie, they're really Republicans. That's the difference. Like they're not. There is no such thing as a Democrat. That doesn't exist. Those are not real people. No.
No, and the Republicans don't exist.
It's like Narnia. It's just not real.
Well, let's just see what this clip is because I don't recall it, but it has to do with this is capitalism.
Next episode of the Industrial Revolution, and it's intended and
So we're going to start this again because now I know what it is. Guys, much like we told you that Alex Karp and Palantir is an example of what is wrong with our country and where the real problem lies, well, here is another example of where the real problem in the economic system we've created for ourselves.
Is this a BlackRock thing?
How'd you know?
Because I think I saw this. It was good.
Consequences. We're here at 50 Hudson Yards, BlackRock's soulless Death Star headquarters, the trillion-dollar omnipotent force that owns everything and answers to no one. Think of it as God. If God were an unregulated financial entity with a taste for global domination and no interest in, humanity. BlackRock is the world's largest asset management firm, a financial death cult that invests on behalf of governments, corporations, pension funds, and yes, probably your broke ass too. They manage $8.6 trillion in assets. They've got their claws in all your favorite nightmares. Fossil fuels, weapons manufacturers, and surveillance technology. Because if you're going to control the world, you might as well burn it down, sell weapons to both sides, and then spy on the survivors. These aren't investments. This is a death wish portfolio. And when it all crashes, guess who gets called in to clean it up? When Wall Street.
That's what happens. They can do it whenever they want, and they've done it whenever they've wanted for a very long time. At what point does we, the people, say enough is enough? That's what happens. That's one of the...
We need to prepare for Armageddon, man.
Do you know who prays for recessions the most?
Rich people.
The rich.
Rich people don't care whichever direction. That's the point. They hedge their bets.
They win.
Just like they bat right. It's like, do you remember in Big Daddy when they were playing cards with the kid, and no matter what happened, he won? The kid would be like, well, because I got this and I got this, I win. I got this, I win. That's them. They don't care either way. It doesn't matter to them.
What a reference.
But am I wrong?
You're right. You're right. Because no
matter which scenario, they win.
For BlackRock, it is heads I win, tails you lose. 1,000%. Every time.
Street's greed and recklessness tanked the global economy. The US government turned to BlackRock to help manage the fallout. It's like asking the arsonist to lead the fire investigation, or like putting OJ in charge of finding Nicole's real killer. And when COVID hit, the firm was contracted to manage the Fed's emergency bond buying program, any of which BlackRock itself had issued. While you were crying and stress-Googling stimulus check, BlackRock was racking in billions. And don't get me started on gentrification. BlackRock isn't just investing in real estate, they're reshaping neighborhoods. They buy up homes in bulk, drive up property values, push out long-time residents, and replaces communities with juice bars, yoga studios, and $5 artisanal cookies. It's not
I sent this to you.
So I will also tell you that in my foray into the commercial real estate space, I became pretty acquainted with Grant Cardone. Do you know why Grant Cardone is able to get away with the sort of scheming, not sort of, but scheming that he gets
I really didn't know who that was until you told me. But it's for people who don't know, he's one of those guys that sells his real estate program to suspecting tools who will pay him lots of money to go hear what he has done to make a lot of money, and they hope that they can use that system to make money too.
I know of people that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on masterminds because they think that that's the secret to actually knowing how to do this. It's not. And frankly, you're a sucker if you give them any money. But hey, you say hate the player, don't hate the game. I remember the first time I went to one of his events and I said,
you hate the game, not the player.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No.
I said it the other way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hate the game, not the player. But the point is, he was walking away with at least $1 million every time he does one of these events. Like clear, easy. But he is also backed up by BlackRock and Blackstone.
Can you please clarify that you don't pay to go to the events? That you don't give them money anymore?
Oh, not at all. The most I think I ever spent to go to one of his, like to actually go to an event that was like a multi-day event, I think I spent maybe $250 once or something like that. But that's just to get access to network and do what I needed to do. But as far as giving him money, not a chance. And so that is how these mega corporations are able to do this. And just as Mr. Hunter points out, BlackRock bought 1,200 RV parks in the country.
I know that bothers me.
Disenfranchised out of their homes. And you know what? As a commercial investor, you have a decision to make. You can choose to invest with certain types of people, or you can choose not to. I have my very first RV park listing that's coming up, and I can assure you that the person who is going to get it will not have any affiliation whatsoever with private equity, much less BlackRock. And to those people out there that
I think we should buy those up and turn them into food forests where people can come and work and live there if they don't have a place to live.
You got a few $1 million to throw around?
No, I'm not BlackRock, unfortunately. But that's what I would be doing. I'd be buying up the RV parks and turning them into food forests. And yeah, I think that's a very good idea, don't you?
Yeah. And there is a reason why Mr. Cardone had his last 10X conference recently, because the walls are probably closing in and he's going to have to figure out a way. And from Raul Christensen, BlackRock signed a contract with the Labor Party when it was in power. And within months, the local economy was put into liquidation by this asset stripper. Again, much like you complain about the actions of George Soros and what he did with stock manipulation, what do you think BlackRock and the like do? State Street, Vanguard. This is not real economics. There's no such thing as a free market. It doesn't exist. This is a monopolized, broken, controlled market.
It's crony capitalism.
Of the worst kind. And we are at the end. at least I would think people have to realize that there is a vote of no confidence going on here. At some point, you have to realize that a major shift is coming, and it's going to happen no matter what.
Just gentrification, it's corporate colonization. This is capitalism, the final form of Reaganomics, a joyless meat grinder where everything gets sold, securitized, or repoed, especially your future. Side note, the reason I even made this video is because one of their employees got mad because they couldn't get a discount. Imagine working for $1 trillion puppet master and still acting like a broke college student. And if it wasn't any more clear, BlackRock.
Yeah.
I choose to participate in a free market style system. But unfortunately, the people who truly control everything, they don't. And so for as much as I feel that there is a need to, when I feel that there is a need to act accordingly in a system that's broken, to at least give it some semblance of stability, it's not, forget that it's not enough. It doesn't make even a fraction of a dent. It doesn't. Because I know way too many of these people that make way too much money and are way too content to do business with BlackRock, Blackstone, State Street, Vanguard, and the like. Because for them, it is all about money and power. It doesn't matter. That's why people like Alex Karp exist.
That's why I need to move to the woods, man. I cannot deal with this.
Well, we're dealing with it. We're working on it. We are.
Although Jason has informed me, and this is kind of, he's like, you're not going to be pleased to know, but you know, we're on Mo's property. The internet's really not good. And he's like, you need to get a Starlink for the camper. And
well, I'll provide you Starlink.
And he said to me, he's like, you're not going to like the solution. I'm like, well, you know, and I'll have to investigate. If anybody knows of a better option than that for a place, let me know.
No, there's no better option.
Please don't be him. He's so gross. And I don't even like, please don't. And you're just don't. He's so gross.
He is pretty gross.
He reminds me of a fatty lipoma.
Nasty.
That's what he reminds me of. Like when I see him, he's fatty lipoma.
Well, I guess he needs to get his exercise on. Guys,
I'm just saying that's what I think of when I see him.
Guys, we have crossed 22,300 subscribers. We have gotten 1,725 new subscribers in the last 28.
At this rate, well, I'll be 105 before I get to the 100,000 and get a plaque.
Hey, we are slowly but surely grinding away and making it so that we can get there.
I will. And guys, you need to understand this. I'm not an old person. Like that's just not going to be me. So like Peter knows, like I'm not going to be an old person.
No, Jen's gonna get the happy pills.
I'm Seinfelding this shit. I'm not jumping the shark. That's the truth.
See, Donald James remembers when we were at 14,000 subscribers. So we've grown.
Right. So how many years ago was that? Right. So I'm saying at this rate, I'll be like 105 before we cross over to 100,000.
Well, according to Travers, the first 50K is the hardest. Apparently, that's like the line. But no,
it used to not be this hard. I mean, but also we are a very, very suppressed channel.
Oh yeah, and we get like people are constantly commenting about why are our comments getting deleted.
I'm just happy that like, again, we've been demonetized. Like just the fact that we even have a platform at all and get any of our stuff out, just it's people be thankful because we talk about stuff that is not appreciated by the Google people.
No, it's not. But as we've said, this is not what we do for a living. We try to do everything in our capacity to help facilitate the message.
Where are you from, Shunt Guy? Who abandoned you? Who abandoned you? Who hurt you?
Where did you show us on your body where they hurt you?
Who hurt you? He said he's a refugee from another platform that left. Oh, well, a lot of them have definitely changed.
We've had people come here from, just different places.
Of course.
Yeah, it is bad.
It's very bad.
And it's going to stay bad. But that's why it's on all of us to continue to spread the word. The fact that Blakeley's channel's been taken down, that's not good. But you know what? We're doing a good job here.
Well, so is Mo's. Mo, you know who you don't know who she's talking about? Mo Hams. He's a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian, lives in this country, but he's been an amazing content creator and spreading things, but they've been blocking him. I mean, his stuff, he'll get up, they'll take it down, he'll put it up, they'll take it down. And so now he's just finally been deleted.
Yeah.
It's not
But
good.
hey, you know, at the highest point tonight, I think we were again around 250 live viewers. So, you know, we're definitely growing.
No.
Yeah, you got a better chance of me running for office in Florida than Jen. So
I can't even stand Florida. I need to get out of Florida. Actually, my plan is to not be in Florida. So, yeah, that's the thing. I need to get somewhere where when the apocalypse happens, right now I'm in way too of a concentrated zone. I want to be somewhere more off the map. I want to be more self-sustaining. I want to be somewhere where when all hell breaks loose, I don't even notice it happens. That's what I'm talking about.
makes sense.
I don't want to be in I can't be in a blue zone anymore.
Well, the Blues are not capable of taking care of themselves. That's the biggest problem. So,
I don't. Somebody's asking if the white. Wait, no, not that one. Here, it's this. There's a lot of Weisses. I got to tell you. Like, I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood, tons of Weisses. So there's no accounting for who's related to who. I'm just saying that honestly, it's not quite Smith, but it's Smith-like in the Jewish community.
the other problem with Florida is that they don't stop building. They don't stop dredging. And these things should never have happened, and especially shouldn't have happened south of Lake Okeechobee. But they've been doing it, and half the state's population lives south of Lake Okeechobee, which is extremely dangerous. And eventually everyone is going to be kind of caught holding the bag now. As a commercial investor, when anybody asks me, what's your opinion about South Florida? I say, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I would never.
No, nobody should. Honestly, do not. At this point, it's a game of hot potato. At this point, every piece of property down here is a game of hot potato, which is who's going to be left holding a property that can't be insured and nobody will buy, because it's just beyond reason how much flooding there is and what the cost of insurance is and all of that stuff. So, that's all it is. It's really a giant Ponzi scheme down here. Do not spend money on property here. Something that I did here, and I told you about this, Peter, so in China, this should surprise nobody. They have been making systematic changes and things regarding climate crisis. And one of the things that they're doing is they're having assisted evacuation. So they're not doing it quickly where they're evacuating people, but they're providing incentives and helping people that live in particularly vulnerable areas to relocate to areas that are going to be less susceptible to climate catastrophes. And so they're actually making it part of their mission to help relocate people to safer portions of the country. That we do the exact opposite. We do the exact opposite. We cannot build and bring more people here fast enough, even though it's sinking. Honestly, the buildings are all lilting.
Yeah, be thankful that Trump is relentless in his immigrant position. But the fact is, people need to be moving to higher ground. You know what? It's like George Carlin said, the earth is going to shake us off like a bad cold. It is what is going to happen in places like Miami. Miami needs massive, not a little, massive degrowth.
It's at this point, it needs evacuation. And that's what I'm saying. It needs to be, people need to start, and not this year or maybe next year, but there needs to be a path, a plan like the Chinese are doing, to repopulate places that are safer with the people that are in the unsafer places. There's a way to do it. It's not force. It's encouraging. It's offering benefits. It's offering assistance. There's probably people that if they weren't going to lose everything in their worthless condo that they can't sell now, maybe people would leave. It's just something
they've already been moving to Miami. So let them keep going there. Let them be the ones who get stuck.
Them and the Israelis, honestly. Oh my God. Let them and the Israelis come here and float off to sea with the bottom half of Florida.
Well, with that said,
like a raft.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We are scheduled to have Clint Russell on Monday. We may also be having a guest who was on the ship, the flotilla.
You mean on the Conscience?
That was
on the ship?
That was bombed, yes. So we're working on that.
Wanker Tanker says move to the Great Lakes Basin. Working on it. Funny you should say that. Didn't I just send you I literally just sent Peter a listing for property in the northern part of Wisconsin near Lake Superior.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we need to be migrating.
Well, smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We appreciate you all. You're a tremendous part of our growth and opportunity. You guys have been with us for a long time. We appreciate you sticking with us. Lots more to come, and have a great weekend.
You're just
Free
waiting.
Palestine.
Free Palestine.
See you, Mike.